between like the gate. It's being like gated and stuff like that. So if you guys stop by and stuff like that and come in and check it out. But yeah, we have a lot of people.
So you are very busy.
Yeah, we're busy. Yeah, for sure. But everything's going good so far. So we have a lot of support thing.
Excellent.
Yeah, and
And
then
maybe next month, I purposely this session and last month's session, I purposely made them remote only because of the upsurge in COVID and just a lot of stuff. We'll see. I haven't decided yet for March, but I like to have them in person. But I'll make sure I let you know ahead of time.
yeah, just keep me updated so we make sure we have staffing here and then we're good to go and stuff like that.
As it
Nothing.
turns out, it was probably a good idea that we were remote.
Yes, or else we
Yeah.
would have to cancel and then just had it remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing for February, nothing else. I mean, we have our president's camp the week of the 19th, I believe. We have about 15 kids registered right now for the camp, so we have that going. We'll have another one in April. And then I'm sorry, in April. And then in March we plan to do our spring egg hunt. So that'll be coming up and then we'll be gearing up into the summer programs. But for now, yeah, that's all the updates that I have.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I do. This is Tina. So I'm curious, when people are unhoused, people are, they go into the overnight warming centers, get shelter. Are there any stats on how many of them go ahead and move forward in getting some more permanent housing versus going back out on the streets? Does the city track that?
I'm not, well, because we use a vendor, so we wouldn't have like that information of how many like they actually move on to like housing and stuff like that. So I wouldn't
Oh,
be
so
able
the city doesn't require the vendor to do any reports?
so I'm sure they do, but they don't, I mean, I'm sure it's above me.
Hi, Tina. I can chime in.
Great.
Yeah, so Home First definitely has their system and it's the same. They all use one system. Our city, Home First, if it's Path, they all use the same like case management system. And I'm not sure the stats myself, but I've heard that these overnight warming locations definitely make it easier for these case managers to kind of start the process because of course they're all, they know they can meet somewhere, they're available and they don't have to go and look for them, they know that they'll go to the warming center that night, so they're able to kind of start the process. But I can ask that for you. That's a good question.
Well, yeah, it's, I mean, in this effort to try to house our unhoused, I would think that that's something that would be important to the city. So thank you for looking into that.
You're welcome.
Any more questions for Sandra? I'm going to turn it over to Lieutenant Mueller to give us an update on anything he wants to tell us about. And I understand that he could get called away at a moment's notice. So,
well, hello there. I am in my car, so if you see the red light on me, it's because I'm in the car. And if you heard chirps or radios or whatever else, I tried to turn them all down, but we may get interrupted by that.
That's all right.
And Captain Baldy once again was double booked, so she wasn't able to make it here tonight. I know she was going to try and join in as well, but I think I told her that she probably shouldn't be on a Zoom while she's at another meeting. That would probably not be appropriate. It's been relatively good in the area. I did have a meeting with Craig and his association a couple of weeks ago. The big topic there was the loud explosions or possible fireworks and trying to kind of hone in on those. I don't know, Jeff. I think he was going to reach out to you and have discussions about it as well. I just kind of wanted to bring that up because the biggest thing that we really were encouraging there was to report it. And I know the last few weeks I have heard more calls come through, so I think the reporting is coming out. But once again, I think by the time officers get kind of in and around that area of where it is, there is no evidence or signs of it occurring. So, you know, and I know there's the report fatigue and people getting discouraged by nothing being done. But what it does help us track the events as it progresses and know where the problem spots are, so that when we do have an opportunity to target some enforcement and try and see if it's one individual or multiple individuals, at least that way we know which areas and maybe which times to kind of look at.
Yeah, and we are working on a explosion tracking mapping system. It sounds awful, but it's just it'll be a web-based thing that I'll talk about it later. But yeah, Craig and I had extensive discussions about it. Thank you.
And some of the reports that have come through in the last couple of weeks, someone said, "Yeah, I did see the fireworks." I don't know if that was related to the loud explosions that 13th Street Association has been hearing or not. But once again, by the time they get into an area, they're unable to determine where they were launched from. So it is an ongoing issue, and it's something that I think we need to continue working on. Mm-hmm. And I encourage you to kind of put that word out as well, to, if there are incidents of it, that kind of report it and kind of say which direction they think it came from. A lot of times when you call, they do want an address, but I think we did determine that you can also give an intersection for a general locale, so that it's not a specific house. And then once again, it's always based on, staffing and priority calls. If we can get out there immediately, or if it's, several minutes to hours later, by the time we get there, obviously it's going to be even more difficult to try and determine the cause of that.
Yeah, part of the concern that we have specifically about the explosions, because I've been involved in as Tina and Craig and a number of people for years in the trying to deal with the illegal fireworks, and the concern with these explosions, and it's just speculation at this point, I hope it's not true, but the worrisome aspect of it is these seem to be ground-based explosions. Most of these are not aerial explosions, and there's concern among people that somebody may be experimenting with, homemade explosive devices, either doing that or just the M80s or M1000s or whatever they're called. So that's the troubling aspect of this. But again, if PD doesn't know about it, if it's not reported one way or another, then there's nothing that can be done. So we're going to try to come up with this tool, this explosive tracking system, so we can present data that'll show over time, oh, it seemed to be concentrated in this area or this location or whatever it might be, as opposed to trying to get immediate PD or FD response to a specific area, because I know how that's almost impossible just by the nature of fire, unless there's an ongoing fireworks show. That's a different story. But if somebody just sets off an explosive and then takes off, unless a PD just happens to be rolling by, there's nothing that can be done. So I understand that. I know a lot of people understand that. So we're just trying to build this tool so we can gather, and again, it's not legal, it couldn't be used in court or anything, but just to present to PD and the city and the fire department, these seem to be where it's all happening. So we're working on that.
Yeah, and then the other thing, the vehicle smash and grabs, we'll call them, it seems those are starting to pick up again. It's probably been quiet for a good 6 to 7, 8 months of those, and we're seeing it the north part of San Jose, kind of up near the Alviso area. Last night, the downtown area actually had a string of them. And that last night's one, it was a stolen vehicle, most likely, or a vehicle that had a stolen license plate on it, because that license plate came out of San Francisco. They did a check on that, and they said, yeah, one of my license plates got stolen. I don't know where it is. So they stole the plate, put it on the car. And what these crews do is they come from outside of the city, and they come in, and what they're looking for is the computers. And so they have devices that can tell if a computer is in a vehicle and is still powered on, maybe just in sleep mode, and they'll go right to that car, they'll smash that car's window, grab the backpack, suitcases, whatever it is, load it up, and then go. They already probably have a planned destination where they're going to go again. They get there, and the process there, they're going through the bags, and they'll take just the computers, cash. I don't even think they're taking jewelry, and then they dump everything but the laptops, most likely or usually, wherever the next spot is, and then they do it again. They typically target parking lots of retailers. You know, Target gets hit a lot. Sometimes the malls, some of the bigger name hotels around the airport will get hit. So I was kind of surprised to see them downtown last night. Made it even more difficult with all the rain. But just kind of, if you could put some awareness out there of not to leave valuables in the car, that's probably the biggest deterrent. You know, and then as far as retail shopping and theft, that kind of goes hand in hand. But this is typically they're just going in there to grab the computers and then immediately go to a fence and offload them.
Yeah, I've heard that for quite some time, that they have the devices that can pick up if there's a computer. What do they hone in on, a Wi-Fi signal or something? Whatever the device is, they can. So if you know, you're advised to always never leave a computer in the car, but if you have to, make sure it's powered off completely, not in
Correct.
sleep. If it's in sleep mode, they can still detect it.
Yep.
So yeah.
And that's it. Does anyone have any questions for me about anything?
Is
try
there
and answer.
still the Hyundai Kia USB theft problem going on?
Yep. They're still stealing those left and right.
And I understand that Hyundai is sending out emails or letters to owners of it's particular model years. Is that correct? Where where Hyundai disabled or took out a particular device or whatever it is. I don't know the details of it, but there's
Yeah.
specific model years that are especially vulnerable.
Yeah, and I don't know if Hyundai's actually taken a positive step to try and reduce that or not. But yeah, we are still seeing those as a favorite car to for these criminals to grab.
There must be questions from the group. Now's your chance. Go ahead and you don't even have to raise your hand. Just jump in if you have a question for Lieutenant. I can't.
I guess I'm vaguely curious about the computer theft stuff. Do you know where I'd get any more technical details about what folks are doing? Because I know that even these days, even computers that are very off are still sometimes doing very subtle things in the background. And I'm wondering how, even if you power it off, is it fully invisible to these things at this point?
I think.
Uh,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
would say reach out to like if you have an Apple or a Dell or whatever else, reach out to the company and say, hey, what can I do to make things powered off? And then just kind of explain it to them and see what they would say. I don't. I've always just been told powered off. I don't know what the devices they are that they're using. You know, and I think you can almost use a phone and you know try and connect to a hotspot or a Wi-Fi, and it'll show the location. And obviously, you're looking for the strongest location. And if you get next to a car and it's showing a strong location, then you look in there and you can see a backpack. They're like, okay, that's probably where it is. You know, obviously, if you can put stuff in the trunk that's out of sight, it's a little bit easier. But a lot of cars these days, you know, you break in, you just open the back door and you pull down that back seat and you can get in the trunk.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Anything else from anyone for the lieutenant? I thank you, Lieutenant Mueller.
Okay. I'll stay on unless I got to go, but I will take the picture off so you guys don't have to stare at my red face. I'm really not that embarrassed.
Okay, Daniela, would you like to go next?
Sure, I can go next.
Sure.
So yeah, just some policy things. Yesterday or Tuesday, they approve the staff status report on different strategies that the city can employ to regulate the effect of oversized vehicles on our San Jose streets. And that one does not take any action yet. Like one of the things was obviously safe parking, permitted streets where large vehicles can park, talking to our state for federal parking lots, and I think private property owners for parking for our oversized vehicles or RVs that are lived in. So
But
this-
but for the proposal, there's three specific schools that they're going to do an analysis on, and so
Yeah, that was the next so there
I'm
was
sorry.
8.1, which was this one, and then there was the 8.2, which was the three pilot schools. Yeah, correct, Jeff. So the first ones that I was talking about, that's kind of what the staff's recommendations are that they can explore, but nothing is put into effect until the budget cycle, which I'm sure the mayor and the council will be thinking of oversized vehicles and RVs for this budget cycle, which is coming up pretty soon. So they were just presenting that to the council. And then Jeff mentioned the three schools. Two of them are in District 3, which is bordering Independence High School, which is Educational Park Drive. There's a number of vehicles right there, RVs in particular. And then Challenger School is also in our district, which is over there in the north side area near like Gish Road, which is another really impacted area with RVs. So those are, it's going to be 150 feet from the school, which is already what they had in place for encampments, but now it's just going to be the same thing for RVs 150 feet away. I know there are questions of increasing that footage, and that, of course, I mean, they're just starting short right now with the pilot, and of course that can be explored for 300 feet. I know that was mentioned. So with this pilot, hopefully we'll see some improvements near our schools.
Daniela, a little background might be good. This was, I think it was initiated by the school, what school, about 6 months ago. The bottom line is our children going to and from school were having to traverse, pretty hazardous conditions with the encampments and the RVs so close to the schools. There was trash, syringes, you name it, and there was also crimes in the schools themselves, break-ins and thefts, and so it took the students from this, I think, one particular school that approached the city and to kick this whole thing off. And then Tuesday at the council session, there was probably 25 or 30 students that made a brief presentation, spoke to the council in support of specifically 8.2, which is a lot easier. 8.1 is very comprehensive. It's going
Yeah.
to take a long time to get through that, but 8.2 is something that can be done much quicker with much less budgetary impact, and that's just getting the encampments and the large vehicles away from schools K through 12, I think it is.
Yeah, K through 12. And those students that were there were all from the Independence campus, which has like 4 schools on that campus. So I think it's like KIP, and then I know KIP for sure, and Independence students were there. And I think there's like 2 other schools on that campus, which I know, Jeff, you mentioned there were break-ins into the school. They were trespassing onto the school a couple of times. So yeah, that it was great for the students to speak up at council yesterday.
Yeah, I was very proud of them taking the time. Obviously, they were coached, and because there was so many people speaking, they had to limit it to 1 minute. So the kids, were just rapid fire going through it. But it's very impressive to see basically children getting involved like this, and it behooves us as the adults running things to at least do everything that we can to make the educational experience as positive as possible. So I was very impressed. I know a lot of people are still upset, saying this doesn't solve everything. Of course it doesn't, but it's another incremental step that we can take that can begin to make an impact. And I'm very proud of the council for going ahead with, because there was a lot of opposition, people saying, "Oh, you're criminalizing homelessness," which it is not. So anyway, that's just my comments on it, and I appreciate our council member Omar Torres being supportive of it as well.
Yeah, and then just some other policy things that happened since we last met. They approved the official pedestrian mall closure on San Pedro Street. So that street is officially going to be closed to vehicles, and it's just going to be a walking community. It's so right now if the street's like, like a street and sidewalk, and now they're gonna, obviously large project, they're gonna flatten it out so it's like a actual walking area with restaurants and outdoor
So
activities.
that's permanent, right? That's the idea behind this, to make it
Permanent,
permanent.
yes,
Okay, got it.
permanent. So that's exciting for our downtown. And then Councilmember Torres is having a cafecito, which is his coffee meetings tomorrow, actually, from 9 to 10. It's gonna be at the Pete's Coffee over there on Oakland Road and Brokaw in the shopping center over there. If you guys are, if you have anything you'd like to bring up one-on-one with council member, he'll be there from 9 to 10. You're more than welcome to join us. And then I was gonna bring up, I have been getting some concerns regarding the street vending that is happening in front of Roosevelt and the Chaparral supermarket. Sandra, I don't know if you've noticed anything. I don't know if they're respecting the space or anything, but we have been getting some concerns. They're on the side of Roosevelt. There's like two there, and then there's one across the street. It's just street vendors selling food. I know if it is an issue, please send me an email. I've talked to a couple people, and if it is like, an actual issue for the neighborhood, then I can bring it up to someone else about it. But I just wanted to put that out there that if you guys have any concerns about it, if you think maybe they're not cleaning the space or anything, just let me know and I can look more into that. But I did get a couple of concerns from that, so feel free to send them my way as well if you have any. And then Councilmember Torres, he is in VTA right now, and he submitted a referral for the BART Phase 2 project, so that they can submit a work plan and like a projection for our small businesses and any like venues or small businesses along where the project is going to be, because he wants to ensure that during construction the businesses are aware of what's going on and that there's a work plan for that. And he submitted that alongside, I think it was Councilmember Davis, Vice Mayor Kamei, Supervisor Chavez, and they're in VTA right now discussing that. I'm not sure the status yet, but he submitted that today at VTA. And yeah, if there's any questions,
I
please
have
let
a
me know.
question on the street vending. David, I
Yes.
think you're on top of this. Is it legal just to sell stuff on the street like that, or do you need licensing to do that? Or I'm just curious about it.
Well,
Anybody?
so it's a little bit complicated. Yes. I mean, if you're going to be selling food, you need a food handler's permit. If you're going to be running a business, you need a business license. And I know some of the vendors use like propane tanks that are not safe, or they use open fire, things which is not safe. And the enforcement there would be from the county's health department. But unfortunately, the answer we hear all the time is low staffing, and so they don't really go out there to enforce as much as we'd like them to, or as much as, for everyone's health that they can. So that it's not, I mean, it's technically unpermitted vending. It's not illegal. But if they are not permitted, then it is unpermitted vending. We've been dealing a lot with this in downtown at the SAP Center, the convention center. So we're still learning exactly what it means to be permitted as a street vendor, because I don't think they have a pathway to become legal or become permitted, unless they have their health codes, their business license, because if they're going to be selling stuff, then they're officially a business. And as much as a restaurant, has to be safe selling to customers, they have to too.
SJPD has jurisdiction over street vendors. Maybe the lieutenant can chime in. Well, in any case, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, sorry, I was trying to get to the right page, to turn on my screen and my voice there. So we do, but we don't, because it does come down to a code enforcement type of issue. Is what we run into, and we've gone round and round with the city on this, and a lot of it has to do with the vendors that are downtown. We'll go and make sure that they aren't selling drugs or alcohol, but we can cite them for that. But for as far as them selling food, the city has pretty much made it clear that they want the vendors that are there. They want the vendors to be available. They want them to have their business, but it is code enforcement that has to come out and actually verify, do they have the permits, do they not have the permits?
Okay, let me ask just a question. I don't get out that much, but what I see, there's a vendor that sells at the corner of 21st and East Santa Clara, and it interferes with traffic, and to me it's dangerous because he operates right on the corner there. Would that be something, if they're impeding traffic or being a hazard to traffic, that's something that PD could.
Yeah, now if they're impeding, if they are, they're blocking the sidewalk, if they're impeding the right of way or the roadway, then yes, we can come and we can either have them move along, we can give them a citation for being in the roadway, but that's about it. As far as like arresting them and taking them to jail for
I understand.
and that becomes a whole nother problem.
I understand that.
There's another type of vendor who is on private property that can also be illegal regardless if they're on private property, because to be a vendor, you do need the permits, but, and this is a big one, you have to have a bathroom facilities available on the private property while you're selling food. And there are examples in our area, a couple within 2 blocks of where I live, where they're on private property, but they don't have bathroom facilities available. And I doubt that they have any permits as well.
David, why don't you go ahead? David Burrows has had his hand up. Go ahead, David.
That's okay. There was a comment earlier which threw me off and said it's not permitted, but it's not illegal. What does that mean? It would seem to me that if you don't have permit, that's illegal. Is my understanding of legal stuff just completely out to lunch, so to speak?
Well, I'd say like being unpermitted is not breaking the law. They'll just get like ticketed. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it,
You're
but
talking about a criminal.
if they're
it's not
selling like
a criminal, it's not an offense that could get somebody locked up in jail.
Right.
But
Okay.
if I'm operating a business, any kind of business without the proper business license, that by definition is illegal, and I would suffer a legal remedy. It could be whether it's a fine or whatever could be levied against
The
me.
city has chosen to
Yeah.
not enforce
I know.
those laws.
Yeah.
There are laws that you enforce for the city, and there are laws that you don't want to enforce. Like living in an RV technically is against the law on the street,
Right.
but it's not being enforced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to pick your battles.
So the bottom line, at least in our neighborhood, because I can't speak to downtown, I don't really go downtown that much. And I know that's a whole different bailiwick in terms of rules, regulations, and everything, and focus for the city. But out here in the neighborhood, if I see anybody, whether it's a vendor or just anybody parking their car, creating some kind of traffic hazard, I should definitely call that in and try to get some enforcement on that.
Well, even if you're in doubt if it is or it is not, you're
Yeah.
better off calling and let us figure out. We'll respond if we need
Okay.
to, or kind of try and help move them along, or
Yeah.
help educate them. Hey, pick a different spot, because
Gotcha.
you can't be here causing problems.
Gotcha. Thank you. Okay. What else?
And just for the fun of repetition, which number should people be calling in such a case?
The non-emergency line.
Okay.
unless there is a threat to obviously life or property,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
911. And if you're ever in doubt, just 911. That one's the easy one for people to remember
Yeah.
when you're messaging things out.
Yeah.
And again, just to remind people, I know that it's supposed to be okay now, but for years, if you dial 911 from your cell phone in anywhere in the Bay Area, you get the CHP dispatcher, and then they transfer you to the appropriate agency. If you're in San Jose, your best bet is to program 911 on your cell phone to 408-277-8911. Then you're guaranteed that when you dial 911, it's going right to the emergency dispatchers here in San Jose. So
And then the 8900, that's the non-emergency.
that's
That's it.
so correct. So I have it on both of mine. It says 311, but behind that it's programmed 408-277-8900, and I get the okay. So okay, what else? Oh, I want to talk about again the I've got I sent it around on an email, and I think it's important that people have this. It comes from the police department. You can't really see it. The important phone numbers. It's San Jose Police Department services and city and county services. It's got all the numbers, and if you're going to have one concise list, this is the one you want. In addition to that, PD has encouraged. I just went to a sideshow presentation by Captain Sanchez in the Foothill Division just the other day, and again the crime specialist made a brief presentation on the camera registry, and it's really important. If you have cameras at home, security cameras, register them, because it doesn't give PD, it doesn't give them any access to your system. They can't be spying on you. It just tells them where cameras are. So if a crime happens, this is really crucial. If something happens and they can just look on their map and say, okay, it happened at the such and so intersection or something. Oh, here's the 4 houses around there, or businesses or whatever, that have cameras. We can call them directly to see if we could get the video. Time can be of the essence, and it can save the detectives and the police on the street. It can save them time, giving them access to know that you have a camera. Then they have to come to you, and you're under no obligation. Even if they reach out to you and you've registered, you can say, sorry, I'm not going to share it with you, and there's no risk to you. So bottom line, if you have a camera system, get it registered. And this is different than the original one that was run by the city department. I don't know if it was DOT or who was running it. The camera registry system today is run by the police department. So it's really important that you do that if you have a security camera system. Enough of my lecturing. Any other comments? Where are we on our list here? Okay, I don't think we have anybody from the mayor's office, no, tonight. And I was going to speak about the big issue, which Danielle already talked about. It's option 8.2 that's immediately they're going to implement a very minor budgetary impact, 3 target schools, 150-foot setback from schools for encampments and large vehicles. And again, we talked that to death, and that's exciting that they're doing something constructive along the lines of that. Tina, would you like to speak on the no digital billboards, where we're at on that?
Sure. Yep. Okay. Hi, everybody. Tina Morrill here from the Vendome neighborhood. And I just wanted to briefly update people. I don't know how many folks are following this movement, but the city is proposing to have digital billboards in different locations throughout the city. And let me take a step back and disclose, I have loosely followed this, so I don't have all the answers. However, there are some very bright minds working on the no digital billboards effort or efforts. And they've sent me, different bits of information, presentations, if people are against it, how they can write or call. But I wanted to raise awareness of that this is kind of rearing its ugly head again. And the Community and Economic Development Council Committee is going to be meeting on this on February 26th. And it's going to be a discussion. I don't believe they're voting for it one way or the other or kicking it up to the council. But I haven't seen the agenda posted yet. Usually it gets posted 10 days ahead of time. Anyway, so there's this movement against the digital billboards, and I can forward the information through Jeff. There's a lot of information, but I want to highlight the concerns that this group has, and it's quite a large group. So I'll review those real quickly, and then you can ask me questions, but I may or may not know the answer. Anyway, so some of the concerns are there are no firm revenue projections. Revenue is one of the carrots that lobbyists are using when they speak to council, and they have had meeting after meeting after meeting with council, including Omar Torres's office, not just Omar Torres, but also his staff. There are no takedown requirements for downtown billboards, which are that are blighted. So there was going to be a deal where for every one of the digital billboards, they were going to take down 6 blighted ones. Well, the downtown billboards were deliberately exempted from this requirement. So that's a concern. The city just lost a lawsuit that was related to not following its own rules and making a backroom deal for billboards at the airport. So what's happening is the cities that have a lot of these billboards, there's a lot of lawsuits, which are, they're fighting, and it's costing us taxpayers a lot of money. And this is money that could be spent on, other things that, the people really want. And so speaking of that, the city did a survey. There was over 2,000 respondents that showed 90% opposition to the billboards. So the public is not asking for these digital billboards in San Jose. The digital billboards, they threaten driver safety and runs counter to the city's Vision Zero policy to eliminate traffic fatalities. It has been shown that digital billboards are a distraction to drivers. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has found that distracted driving has caused 3,142 deaths and injured approximately 424,000 people. So, that's pretty serious. People living close to the billboards will be impacted by their light. In addition, Lick Observatory would be negatively impacted due to the light pollution. They're already impacted by the Levi's Stadium jumbotrons. It is said that local businesses will benefit. Well, local businesses don't benefit because the digital billboards typically advertise national consumer products and services. Think McDonald's or Coca-Cola. Digital billboards are causing wildlife disruption, and they are opposed by the Audubon Society and the Sierra Club. And there is a myth, the vibrancy myth, it's being called. So the billboards and the myth of urban vibrancy, they're just talking points of the billboard industry. There isn't any evidence that these digital billboards on public buildings downtown would be good for the economy. So if you are concerned, or if you have an opinion one way or the other, you can write to the city council. You can call the city council. I suggest you do both. And again, I will forward information, which includes some very good visuals and good information about, who the council members have met with and when, the different talking points that I just reviewed, the concerns. And then there's templates in case you need a little help writing a letter or whatever. So,
Hey, Tina, if I could just
Yeah.
jump in, just
yeah,
real briefly.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Oh,
So,
thank you very much. I wanna make sure everybody understands what's going on here. I was involved with this a little bit, not as much as Tina and Les who joined. Uh, but this is an ugly little, not a, this is a shameful, how do I want to put this? This is something that the private citizens have overwhelmingly voiced opposition in many, many, many ways. It's not just a handful of people that are opposed to it. Any kind of survey that has come out, people are violently against this, yet the city council keeps proceeding forward and the city manager's office. And if it, when I say it's an ugly stain, it seems to be a lot of money is at stake, and I don't want to make direct accusations, but I think it stinks. And we did get city at Tina was at the airport that just got slapped down on that um, the judge. What was the latest thing where the airport commission or whatever awarded this huge digital billboard contract without proper um, um, uh, bids or anything, and they went ahead with it, and a judge just threw that back at him, said, "You basically violating the law." Anyway, folks, what I'm getting at is, you need, if out of all the issues that confront us, this is one that you want to perhaps read up and register your complaint, even if it's just a email. If you want to get more involved, you can certainly do that. But this is not something that you should just ignore. I feel pretty strongly about that. Thank you, Tina, for presenting
sure.
this. And I will.
There's a question in the chat from David Vieira, that didn't the city trade the removal of some number of conventional billboards for the installation of much smaller number of digital? And some of them, billboards were supposed to be in D3 that were removed. So as I mentioned, the the downtown billboards were deliberately exempted from this requirement to take down, and it was going to be 6 conventional billboards for each new digital billboard that was going up. That for some reason was exempted. So it's specifically in the downtown. I don't know now, there's supposed to be some other proposal that's gonna, come before the Community and Economic Development Committee on February 26th. And maybe they will have more information about how many billboards they're going to take down, if any at all, so that they can put up these eyesores. Oh, sorry. They can put up the digital billboards.
Thank you.
Sure, and I want to say one other thing, and this I'm just speaking for myself here. I'm very, very disappointed in the council who are, they're supposed to be representing us. And this includes Omar. I'm very, very disappointed about that. Omar's done some good things, but evidently people can't even get a meeting with him, and that's not right. That is not right. And so, if you are disturbed at all about the billboards, please do write to Omar. He needs to hear from his constituents. I know that he tracks, letters and calls, and he's got some very good staff people, Daniela, for example. So, hopefully she's taking some notes to bring back to him. I'll shut up now.
No, you don't have to shut up. No, I urge everyone, just I'll get the latest from Tina, and I'm going to circulate it to everyone, and you should take a look at it, because these are decisions that once they're made, we're going to have to live with them for forever, and it'll be very difficult to undo them, 4, 5, 6 years down the line if we find out, oh my God, this is awful. So anyway, thank you very much, Tina.
Hey,
Les?
Jeff.
Yeah.
If I could interject,
Sure.
it took us 10 years to get a billboard company to remove a billboard hovering over some of my family's properties at Alum Rock and 33rd. Finally, when the billboard company decided it wasn't worth their while because the trees were blocking their billboards for half the year. And even then, it still took 10 years of back and forth
Yeah.
to get the company to remove that billboard.
Yeah, so this is our chance. The train may be too far down the track for us to stop it, but at least we can raise our opposition to it. But if you're quiet, it'll go ahead. That's guaranteed.
Hey,
Carlos?
Jeff,
Yeah.
question for you. Is it possible for the neighborhood, to write up a letter and then have anybody who wants to sign into it and have it go directly to council? I mean, I get a lot of those from District 5, they throw them out there, hey, there's something happening, you can sign on and the letter goes to council. Is it
Yeah.
possible for the Roosevelt Association to do the same thing and members can tag in and have the letter go automatically to council?
Sure, if we get enough people to make it worthwhile, to make an impact, I would be supportive of that.
Well, we
Okay.
need numbers. Carlos, you're right. We need numbers. We need a lot of people willing to sign on to letters or writing letters themselves or sending, or calling in, excuse me. So we need large numbers because the lobbyists are, they're just kind of, they're able to meet, whenever with whomever. And our voices are not being heard clearly.
Well, I've been seeing here like these billboards. Yeah, I read about them in the past. I haven't heard anything about them lately. See, so this is something that to me seems to be coming in through the back door. It's not
That's a
any
good
different than
observation.
when they want to put up a building or they want a liquor license someplace, and they reach out within, in some cases, it's 500 feet of the facility. Some cases it's 1,000. In some cases, they may hit 2-3 houses that actually fall within that. So to me, what's really coming out is they don't want to hear from us. They don't want no opposition. They don't want to hear from the people, so they can do what they want, and they have absolutely no opposition to what they want to put in place.
In some cases, it's actually a director's review, which bypasses any public notification. So the planning director can actually approve many types of permits without ever going to public notification.
Oh yeah. We just ran into one over in Evergreen area too, and association there was the same thing. There's a project going on. Somebody managed to get hold of a letter that went out. One of the issues is the new gas station they want to put at Costco over by East Ridge, which was agreed there was never going to go a gas station in there, and nothing from the city. It's like, we don't want to reach anybody. We don't want anybody to comment on it, but because we don't want opposition. That's not working for the people. That's just the opposite. And it seems like that's exactly where the city is headed, is in that direction where they don't want residents to put any input because they don't want to push back. It's a lot easier to get projects done if you don't have people speaking up against them.
Specifically buildings in form-based zoning areas, which is Alum Rock Avenue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
East of King, projects like in that area, form-based zoning can be passed by a simple director's review. And we're talking, 8-story apartment buildings.
Okay,
Yeah,
Carlos,
exactly.
back to your suggestion. I'm all for it if we can get enough people, but just as we can't seem to get a lot of people involved in the monthly review, and I send out, I got a mailing list in the hundreds. I don't know that it'll resonate. So it might just be 2, 3, 4 of us, but at least we could do that. I'd be willing to author that and circulate that and try to get some support on it. And Tina's going to be sending us a bunch of stuff, including a template that we can use to And I won't copy the template because I want to, I don't want it to sound like we're just, Xeroxing something else, but I'd be glad to head that up, and I'll do that, and I'll include you in the loop. Okay.
And Jeff, just a quick clarification.
Sure.
What I'm going to send, it has embedded templates. And what I mean by that is you can choose the topic that you are, or topics
Yeah.
that you're concerned with. You click on that link and it creates an email for you.
Okay.
So I think you can customize it,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. Thank you. No, I'll take the information because I was involved with this pretty much for, God, has it been several years? Yeah. And, I've been out of the loop for a bit, so yeah, I'm willing to jump back into it. Okay, any other questions on that? We're going to talk let's talk about something really positive. Viva Calle. Alvaro, are you there? Yes, you are.
Yes,
You
I
have the
am.
floor.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I
Take it
appreciate it.
away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Salvador Salaya. I'm really excited to let everybody know that we have picked 3 dates to have Viva Calle come to pretty much San Jose. Those dates are April 21st, June 9th, and September 8th. All these dates are on Sunday, so please, if you're not following us on social media, you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram at Viva Calle SJ. I'll put that in the chat. You can also go to www.vivacallesj.org, which is our website that has information. Or you can always shoot me an email, and I'll put my email address so everybody can have it. Like I said, we have dates. Unfortunately, right now we're going through the process of vetting out the routes, and as we get permission from San Jose PD, San Jose Fire Department, and OCA, we'll be able to go ahead and share the routes with you guys. Now, I'm looking forward to the route being announced. The sooner the better for me, so I can let you guys know what to expect and what areas are going to be affected. I want to tell you a little bit about Viva Calle and what we stand for. So, Viva Calle SJ is a free recreation program that temporarily closes miles of San Jose streets to bring communities together to walk, bike, skate, play, and explore the city like never before. Now, some of the great benefits that Viva Calle brings to, for example, health, Viva Calle SJ program promotes healthy lifestyle by encouraging the residents to explore miles of public space by walking, running, or rolling. And that could be either a skateboard or skates. It's totally up to you guys. For the economy, San Jose, Viva Calle program draws thousands of participants and generates new foot traffic in local businesses, business districts, and neighborhoods. And we have tallied up to 150K people out there walking and exploring the city. Now, what does it do for the environment? Well, Viva Calle SJ exposes people to alternative modes of transportation and removing vehicles from the roads for a day. And trust me, on those days when you see thousands of people biking, walking, or rolling, you're able to breathe a little bit better because we take thousands of cars off the streets. Now for the community, Viva Calle engages residents to take ownership of their public space, transforming our relationships with our community. And it really gives a chance for people to go out there and take charge of their community and watch it transform for one whole day. Now, some of the things that I love about Viva Calle is I get a chance to see families out there enjoying the day, riding their bikes. I see people of all ages going out there and just enjoying the day. And personally, I have kids, and one of the joys that I get is watching other kids learning how to ride their bikes for the first time in the middle of the street on a busy roadway. And we're able to shut down the streets with the help of SJPD. And we've been doing this since 2015, and it's been really successful. It's been a beautiful day. And I want to come to more of these meetings with you guys. They're on the first of every month, so you'll see me more. And really just, answer any questions you guys have and just better prepare you guys for that day of. Which might be, you might have to park your car around the corner, or maybe just, not drive your car for that day and just go out there and walk, ride your bike, or explore your neighborhood like never before. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
I do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is Tina. So I do have a question, and let me first say before I ask my question, I do love Viva Calle. I think it's great. The energy is great. It's great to not have cars, blah blah. But I want to know, how much does it cost the city?
That's above my pay grade. I know that a lot of the cost goes to just staffing in general. I can talk to my supervisor, and if you don't mind shooting me an email, I can probably get you that answer.
Can you just bounce that back through Jeff so you can share it with all of us?
Of
That would be
course.
better. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Any other questions?
A suggestion, I know
Mhm.
you have a lot of videos and stuff. Make sure you send me those links and I'll actively promote this, through all of my channels, because I think it's I don't want to say it's unique to San Jose, but San Jose is one of the leaders in the country of doing this, or was the first to do it.
We're one of the biggest events in Northern California. The second, the first, I guess it would compare to Ciclovia, which is their open streets program in LA.
The total budget for the 2021 fiscal year for Viva Calle and Viva Parks was $998,763.
Wow.
How much? Can you repeat that again?
Now,
Shy
it's
of a
not
million.
just for
Yeah,
Viva
it's a
Calle.
parks. Yeah, it's parks
Viva
and
Calle and Viva Parks. It was just shy of a million. 998,763.
But I think I've seen analysis on the actual days of Viva Calle and the shutdown and everything that it actually generates. It's a net gain to the city with all the increased business and everything. So it's and I could be wrong, but I think I've seen that. Um,
The stats that we have is on average, any business that's on the route makes about 25% more the day of, but they also get thousands of people to see their store, their business, and we encourage anybody who is on the route to promote their business, to come out there and really engage the community.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Al-
One last
Alvaro?
thing, if you guys don't have any more questions, and if you do, please keep them coming. We are looking for volunteers to staff our intersections, our auto crossings. So if you have a business, a church, or a group of people who want to volunteer, please reach out to me. I'll connect you to the right person, and you guys can take over one of the intersections and just help PD manage traffic. Once again, it's a good way to get exposure.
you'll definitely have
Alvaro?
volunteers from the CERT San Jose. We'll get. They're always involved with.
Thank you.
We'll be there.
Question for you, Alvaro.
Yes, sir.
Are you involved or your department involved at all with the potential closing of King Road from Alum Rock to Story for Cinco de Mayo? They're proposing
No,
a street fair.
that is not us. I can tell you how we close the streets, and that's through the help of the SJPD. We coordinate with them more heavily as the date comes, as the event comes. And they do a lot of help with us. I personally, the day of, I'm in charge of soft closures, so I can tell you a block from the route. I'm out there like at 5 o'clock in the morning setting up A-frames and helping up with the soft closures. Then we move over to the hard closures. And it's a beautiful it's beautiful the way we communicate and we work with SJPD, because I mean within a couple of hours we have those streets closed and everybody's enjoying it.
Daniela, do you know anything about that? Not that it's Councilmember Torres, but Councilmember Ortiz proposing the closing of King Road.
Yeah, I have heard of an event. They are doing an event with a couple of stakeholders and event people for Cinco de Mayo. I think one of them's the Lowrider Council, and yeah, we're not a part of it, but I know they are planning an event. So yeah, it's District 5.
Okay. Alvaro, Viva Calle was cut back from 4 to 3 this year, right?
They try to cut us back from 3 to 2. Right now, my supervisor, Brian Clampett, is working very diligently to reach out and get some funding for the third Viva Calle. I know that if we can't make it as big as we usually do, we're definitely gonna have like a miniature one. So we do have a backup plan if we can't do our regular Viva Calle, which is loved by everybody. And I do want to say that we got a lot of love from the community. And thanks to everybody who went up there and said their piece, we were able to save our program. So thank you to all for that.
Terrific. Yeah, yeah, just again, shoot me all the info as you develop it, and I'll make sure that we spread the word.
Appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time. I've got two other things that I didn't cover. One is we have a dumpster day that's being sponsored, paid for by the Beautify SJ, and it's part of our what do we now I've forgotten the where we were awarded one of the key neighborhoods. Anyway, March 2nd. I don't have any of the details yet, and as I get them, I certainly will share the details, and we're gonna need volunteers for that. And one other thing that came out, I went to the council meeting Tuesday in person to speak to them, and I did. And there was there was about probably 30 or 40 people that spoke in person, and then 20-ish or 30 that spoke remotely, and there was some very nasty, vulgar, racist comments made on about two or three or four occasions. So it was very disheartening, especially with the kids involved. And I noticed today the city clerk came out with a memo saying there will be no more remote comments at any public meeting effective, I think it's March 3rd or something. Now she didn't cite that specifically, but citing the I guess the ongoing remote horrific comments that are made by people remotely in these sessions, and they're following all the rules with the Brown Act and everything. So they're doing it all legitimately, and of course there'll be public comment in person, but there'll be no more remote comments. They will have all sessions and everything will still be streamed on YouTube live, but you won't be able to make any comments, and I'm glad for that.
Jeff,
Yeah.
it would seem to me though, this is Tina. I mean, so I personally am not glad for it because not everybody can drive down to City Hall and attend a meeting, especially if we work. We can Zoom in, get our piece said and then leave.
Yeah.
It would seem to me that the city would have capability of, number one, simply, cutting the person off when they start. And number two, taking their name so that if they join another meeting, they are not welcome. So I would like to see that. And I'm going to.
They could also have a time delay on it, just like you do on live TV. So just for that reason, a 7-second delay that they could be cut off. But anyway, yeah, I'll send you, I don't know if you got it. I'll shoot you a copy of the email that I got from the city today.
I did. I got it from Tony
It's a
Cooper.
good point, because even though I'm retired, I can't make it there all the time either. And sometimes I just, don't want to. I almost didn't go on Tuesday because of the potential threat on the rain, but I felt so strongly about the topic that I wanted to be there. Plus, doing it in person, it's supposed to be at a certain time, but there's always delays, and I understand that people can't necessarily spend 3, 4, 5 hours at a council session or a subcommittee meeting to present. Whereas if you could do it remotely, you could check in and out and conduct your business. Anyway, I'll send you the email.
It'll be interesting to see if this passes legal muster, and I'm sure the city clerk probably ran it by the attorneys, but once you've opened the Pandora's box, because city council meetings used to be televised or on the internet, which is, before the pandemic, then there was not the ability to comment. But with the pandemic, they opened that Pandora's box of being able to comment. So it'd be interesting to see if they can stuff it back into the box and just allow the video viewing without the comments.
I started, I'll send it to everybody, the thing from the city clerk that I got today. I didn't read the whole, there's a attachment, it's a whole legal schmiegel, I didn't want to go through all that, but I know that they're quite aware of this, and they're citing all of these different things that justify it. So, yeah, you're right. Once you open something up like that and then you shut it back down, and my initial reaction was, why don't they put it on a time delay? That's not that big of a
Yeah,
deal.
I mean, we do that with live radio. You've
Yeah,
got the button, the famous button. It's a
Yeah.
7-second time delay.
Right. And that's enough to cut it off. Anyway, I just want to pass that along, and I'll share that email with everybody. What else we got cooking?
The explosion system.
Well, yeah, I talked about that. I working with Sonia and Craig, putting together just a tracking system. We want to keep it as simple as possible. We want to make sure that people don't put their actual address, physical, 101, 6th Street on the form, but it's got to be, and we've been experimenting with a couple things. It's got to be localized enough so that we can see trends. My first cut at it, well, we'll just do zip code, and that's useless, because there's not that many. I think there's 9 zip codes in the downtown area. So you'd say, yeah, we had, or
How about
anybody.
census tract?
Yeah, it's got to be simple enough to use for people to enter it, so they'll enter it. So it can't be too complicated. So we're playing with different variations. It looks like we're going to go with the closest cross street. So let's say the 21st and East Santa Clara. You put that, but then for the Google map to accept it, without a lot of manual cleanup, it's got to be the legal name of the street. So we're still playing with that, but I want to get something out. And it's important to note, this is distinguished away from, separate from fireworks. We're not going to call this fireworks tracking or anything to do with fireworks, because we don't want the two issues to collide with each other. Because if we bring up the word fireworks, they're going to say, well, use the tracking system, which we think is a joke, because it hasn't worked, and it won't work. In fact, they're citing it again. They got the Chinese New Year or Vietnamese New Year or whatever is coming up, and so they're promoting again. If you see something, report it, which I encourage people to do. But we don't want the two to be lumped together. This is for explosions only. Again, hopefully, not hopefully, but the ground-based explosions. Now, obviously, we're going to get, if I'm sitting in my house and I hear boom, I don't necessarily know if it's something that was up in the air or not, unless I look back at my security cameras, but everybody can't do that. So anyway, we're going to come up with something. Let's see, we got a bunch of comments here. Okay. Oh, Daniela put the memo on the in the chat for the no public in-person comments only. Yeah, there it is. And if you click on it, yeah, and there's another attachment. I'll dig it up. That
It starts next week.
I thought it was March. No, March 1st.
No, that's
I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Yeah.
no, it's February 6th.
Beginning February 6th. You're right. Okay. Who else has got something? Keely, what's happening over there? I'm picking on people now.
I don't really have anything.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, good. Any final questions for Lieutenant Mueller?
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
The lieutenant is still on. I see all this issues going on here with traffic. I mean, bicycles, pedestrians, these scooters.
E-scooters, yeah.
And it seems like, from what I'm seeing, is it's hands off. They can basically do what they want to do when they want to do it, and nobody's going to ticket them. Nobody's going to do anything about it. Give you an example today. I'm going off 28, making a right on Santa Clara, and light is green for me. A couple of cars ahead of me went. I got a guy turning left, so I'm watching him. And here comes this guy in the scooter, blowing right through the red light. My wife yells at me because she saw him coming, and then he stops in the middle of the street on a red light. No, if a PD was there, would that guy have been cited, or we just look the other way and say, oh, well, no harm, no foul?
No, I think we're still citing. I think it's a matter of actually, are we on the way to a different call? Do we have the personnel? So it's more of a personnel issue as far as staffing. You know, I hate throwing that word out there. But if it's egregious, then yes, we are citing and we're encouraging to cite. But if the problem is that people aren't seeing people get citations, you know, our motors unit, you know, back in the day that had, you know, 30 motors officers, you stop one guy, well, that's doing something to that one guy, but now how many people are seeing it? And that's the visibility portion of it, of doing the enforcement. So what I would say too on that one is, you know, send a note to city council and complain about it, right? Because it's all, it has to do with staffing and personnel. But also I'll send a word over to our motors unit. But if it's a specific motor enforcement type of issue, and they really, their focus now is more on the vehicles than the pedestrians and the bicycles, you know, with all the bike lanes and the scooters and everything else, you know, it's absolutely a citable offense, you know, 100%. You know, now we go to stop them and they don't stop, and now it turns into a car pursuit, foot pursuit, and everything else. Typically we'll terminate that. So and I guarantee you they know that, right? Because now it's not worth the risk of endangering them and others with us trying to chase down these guys on some of these powered scooters and bikes and everything else. They're going 30, 40 miles an hour, you know, so it's a huge issue. And then they cut in and out of everything else. And now do we, you know, in our pursuit of an infraction, end up crashing and hurting someone, and the liability on our part? So I think that plays a part of it as well.
I totally agree, and I understand the manning issue. The thing that frustrates me is every time you go up and you read about an accident, all of a sudden here comes the bike coalition, everybody else. Well, we need to slow down traffic, we need to slow down cars, we need to create bike lanes. But I never hear, how about educating the pedestrians? How about educating these bike don't seem to care and basically do what they want to do on the road? That never comes up. The first thing that comes out is, well, we need to slow down traffic. We need to stop. We need to create this barrier. We need to create that barrier. But as far as the pedestrian side of it and the bike side of it, it never comes out, you know.
David,
so that comes from the city itself, because they're the ones out there doing all this stuff to the streets. So they seem to go on the side of the bike coalitions and the pedestrian and all that. And they're basically, you know, as far as I see it, if they can create a city without no cars in it whatsoever, they'd go right ahead and do it. They really don't care about anything else, but they're listening to these groups, and that's all they do.
David, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Completely different topic.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
This is freeform, but we finished everything on our agenda, so it's
Okay. We had talked last time. I'm just idly curious, follow up from last time. Last time we talked a little bit about the whole, I think it was FAST, where they were going through some of the certain areas and checking on whether you had like vines growing in your front yard or cars sitting in on your porch or whatever. I'm curious if anyone heard of anyone having an impact from that.
the one home, yeah, remember that. I don't know if we talked about it during that. The one woman was cited, and it made the news, and the mayor came and paid the fine for it. Did we talk about it last time?
That doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, yeah, there was
You did.
it made it was in I thought we did talk about it.
We
We
did.
started to, but we didn't mention that someone had come and paid her fine for her.
Yeah, the Mayor Mahan he was just aghast, and he went and there was a press conference and he paid the fine. And I think they backed down a little bit,
Yeah.
backed off. Anyway, I don't know of any, I haven't been notified what, at least in my area, one way or the other, and I haven't heard anecdotally, I haven't heard anything one way or the other on it since then.
Yeah, they've clarified what code enforcement should be doing. And that should be focusing on commercial buildings,
Okay.
typically on the major thoroughfares.
Okay.
For the new program, which I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
the program was created with a focus on the major corridors downtown, out
Yeah.
into through our area, up Alum Rock, and other major ones. I assume 13th Street might be another one where they would look at the commercial buildings as well for you know, absentee landlords, buildings not being upkept because, you know, absentee landlords, whatever, code enforcement infractions.
Okay. That's a start.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, a question for you.
Shoot.
I passed by your place today over there and I made a right turn into San Fernando. And right on the left-hand side, either the second or the third house, have you noticed what's going on in front of that house? I mean, it's totally trashed. I mean, they got
On which street exactly?
San Fernando.
On the east of
It's going east.
24th?
Yeah, you're coming down 24th and you make the right going east and right on the left-hand side. And I'm not sure if it's the second or third house. I mean, I hardly drive down there, but it was horrible.
There's the I hate to use this term, but there's one of them's a hoarder's house. David, you know all about this, right?
Oh yeah, that's I know her name actually, Carlos. It's on this side of 24th, on the east side of 24th, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who it is when I see you in person.
Well, I happen to know some people that live in that area too, and I'm wondering if it's one of them. And yeah, we can discuss it when we talk.
It's been an issue for at least 10 years that I know of.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked when I turned in there and I saw that. I absolutely could not believe it.
That's on the north side of East San Fernando, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Actually, I think there's two houses. Anyway, yeah. David will fill you in. We don't need to talk about it in public.
Yeah, no, no names.
Okay. Anybody got anything else? Hey, we're running out of gas just about at the right time. Anybody? Going once? All right. Thank you everybody for attending, and we'll see you next month, and keep everybody safe. Don't get sick, and we'll talk later. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeff.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.